Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Just a minute or two late. Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. And for those of you watching or listening, I should say, listening on. Hi
They're
everyone
watching
on
live and they'll be listening tomorrow.
yes, listening on the Fight Game Media audio feed. There we go.
You're a mess.
I am. I've watched so much bloody wrestling, and I still haven't watched All In. I finally made it through the G1. And then I go and fired up ROH from
that
last
important
week.
thing.
It is.
It's not.
It got almost a minute video package on Dynamite today. I got and then I fire up ROH from last week. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes of like matches, and oh my god, like I mean they're good, they're fine, but it's so long. No commercials. 2 hours and 3 minutes of matches on ROH. But anyways,
I admire your work ethic for completionism. I just don't understand it.
well,
You're a strange man, Paul.
Where
Fontaine.
else are you going to see an 8-man tag between Dustin Rhodes, the Von Erichs, and Sammy Guevara against the Dark Order and the Kingdom? I mean, come on.
Well, you'll see something like it on All In if you watch it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I heard they added a 16-man tag.
Oh, they added like 25 other people onto this pre-show.
Yeah.
Between Friday and Sunday.
I counted, and I think I stopped counting at 100, and I'm not even joking. I think there was 100 people on that card.
It was a cast of thousands.
And I don't know if you I was reading, because I'm a bit behind on Observer reading as well, and I was reading up about some of the public filings that AEW made after the Double or Nothing pay-per-view and their expenses for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view and travel, hotel, talent expenses and all that. Like the way it worked out is, and Dave did the math, like they barely made money on that show. Like they did, but they, the two shows, I should say, Dynamite and Collision. And with Wembley, like with all those people and flying them across like to another continent and hotels in London, like I really hope those tickets cost a lot of money because, well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's not my money, but I think they spent a lot of money putting on that show. And,
yes, they did.
Yeah, and from all accounts, it was a good show. I haven't seen it yet, but you liked it, right?
I would not say it's a great show. It was a good show, and some things were very, very good, bordering on great. Okay. The main event was fantastic, as you might expect.
Yeah.
Mercedes and Britt was not.
I've heard differing opinions on that one, but most lean to what you're saying.
It's one of those things where I think Britt Baker's reach exceeds her grasp at times, and I like her. I think she needed some more ring time too. She was a little rusty. They were the co-main. Well, they weren't the co-main. They were the. Well, I guess they were
kind of, yeah, because the TNT title match was there, but it wasn't even
Darby and Jack Perry happened. It was good, but it was just like wow.
It was almost like an angle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew ahead of time what was going to happen in that match, so I was kind of
the only thing I had a real issue. I mean, there's a couple things. They do the thing in AEW where they set up the next contender during this show instead of doing like the clean finish and then setting it up on the next show type of a thing. Mm-hmm. And it drives me nuts because there's a little there's a little old WWE in there for my money.
More than a little.
Yeah, I mean, like the MJF Ospreay match was great. I don't understand why we needed Daniel Garcia in it, but okay, fine.
Well, I do. I mean, if you recall back to when they did the angle, I believe on this show, and people can look it up, it's on YouTube. I said we're going to see Daniel Garcia at Wembley, and he's going to cost MJF the match.
I understand why they did it. Okay. It's not a wow. I was thinking about this and going, wow, what happened there? No, I'm just saying. I kind of this is the WrestleMania. I kind of want this to be the season finale. Okay. And then we can have the season premiere on the next show. This should be the Dynamite after All In should be like the Raw after Mania. It really should, in setting a tone. And it's not. And that's going to be my main beef with tonight's show. The other thing that just frustrated me, and this is stuff you'll hear from others, and others will tell me to shut up, and I'm fine either way. Casino Gauntlet match. It's It's one thing to bring back Nigel McGuinness after a lifetime, but then you add in Zack Sabre Jr., your G1 champion, which might mean something to some people. Doesn't to me, but it does to some people. Or as I call him, former Cruiserweight Classic competitor, Zack Sabre Jr.
And I mean, and it was in London, so.
And I get that too. And then also you debut Ricochet in there.
Yeah.
I get they were loading this up to blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Give one of them the moment. As opposed to Christian.
Well, and not only that, I mean, okay, and here's something I got to ask you, because you watched the show. I didn't. I haven't watched Rampage or Collision yet. Apparently on Collision, they announced that the winner of the Casino Gauntlet would win the title shot, and they would be able to cash it in at any time they wanted to. So it's basically a Money in the Bank.
It's a Money in the Bank now.
Right, which they never said before this.
No, they did not.
Okay. And then the winner ends up being Christian, who, by the luck of the draw, we happen to get Kill Switch and then Christian into the match back to back, right?
We got Luchasaurus in the match.
Right. Sorry, my bad. Luchasaurus and Christian back to back. So Tony Khan sent them out back to back.
Yes.
And then they came up with this idea to basically give Christian the win. And this is the second time they've done this with a Christian cash in, because he won. Luchasaurus or Killswitch won a battle royal to win a TNT title shot.
Yes.
Gave the title shot to Christian.
Yes.
And then Christian won the belt over Copeland.
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone's expecting Killswitch to turn on Christian when
because of what happened in the London Ladders match.
My assumption will be that it's going to be Copeland returning whenever they do this cash in, and it's going to be him that costs him the match. Because that would be poetic justice from the first time.
Maybe. We'll talk about this in a little bit.
Okay. But so that match was, I mean, apparently great. The Okada was in it.
I mean, it was top heavy, don't get me wrong. So it meant something, kind of, I guess. I mean, you had
Evil Uno.
No, Evil Uno did not make it in, but, Roddy Strong, the Kingdom.
Hangman, Jeff Jarrett.
Hangman, Jarrett had a nice moment, I thought. All the British people kind of got their moment. You had Jamie Hayter coming back in the pre-show. No British people lost. I mean, Mariah May got her moment, which shocked both of us, I think, in some ways.
Without a graphic, I wouldn't have recognized Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
Like...
I know people were joking about the Becky Lynch, but I was like, no, not. It's not Becky Lynch. It's Becky Lynch and Asuka had a baby.
Well, she's leaned out though too.
Like, she has. She's gotten in phenomenal shape.
Like, she's not as lean.
She's not. She's not as powerlifty either. Let's put it this way.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, it looked like basically like a WWE diva, a good one, and I mean, obviously she's really talented in the ring.
And the angle was fun because they got Saraya in front of her hometown, so I was cool with that. No, I mean, and then the rest was kind of your indie-rific spot fest stuff, so it was fine. It was a fine show. It was one of those things where Jeremy and Kevin did a very, very good job on the post show, and I want to put them over.
Okay. I haven't listened because I want to watch the show.
I agree with them. The placement of the women's matches was very interesting. Be it that Mariah and Tony is early. I think it's the second match on the show or third match on the show.
I thought it might open, actually, but...
Yeah. And then, well, maybe it did. I can't remember.
No, it didn't. It didn't. But I thought it would have been better off to open. I think they opened with was it the ladders match?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, and it was like, because it's all a blur because of the pre-show being like 6 matches all. And no, it was a fun show, and I was like, okay. I mean, it wasn't a great show. It wasn't anything where I was just like, oh man, that was so fantastic. But I mean, the Danielson match alone is probably worth your money. And
MJF Osprey, I heard was excellent.
Yes, I talked about that a little bit.
So with MJF Osprey, I'm confused. Did Garcia cost MJF the match, or did Osprey win because of the Tiger Driver?
Yes and yes, because it was one of those. Garcia came out in a mask to stop Max from using brass knuckles, which he had brought because legitimately the ring has been stolen.
No.
It's
Danny
not.
Garcia,
it's an angle.
Well, it's what they told us. Daniel Garcia stole it, and
Okay, because
pawned it.
Alvarez was
I know
saying
what
that's a
Alvarez
shoot.
said. I
Okay,
know,
thank
but
you.
you don't think he could get work?
I don't know. I'm not paying that close attention
Okay.
to it, Paul.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
just
either,
saying
but
these things.
I'll bet
And
you.
then he hit the Tiger Driver 1, 2, 3. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll bet we'll find out that it was work.
I'm
But
pretty sure it was a work. It's probably Adam Cole again.
Tony Khan flew out the Outrunners and the and the Von Erichs and freaking Leo Rush and Action Andretti and Layla Gray to Wembley, but he wouldn't pay for Daniel Garcia's ticket. He had to pawn MJF's ring to pay for his flight.
Yes.
Okay.
And the tag match was good. I thought it was good, but not great.
The three-way?
Yeah, the three-way.
Okay. Yeah, the three. I should be more specific. There's a lot of 3 and 4.
Yes, there was a lot of 3, 4, 5 ways, whatever. But when I say the tag match, the only real tag match in there, the tag title match. Yeah, and then the grizzled young veterans debut did nothing, and I laughed because it's just like they thought this was a debut, but if you've been a completionist, you've been on TV already.
Yeah,
back in April.
So have a lot of people. I mean, if the Motor City Machine Guns debut at some point, like they've been on too, but
I think they don't know how to do debuts and re-debuts. I think that's a real weakness, and we'll get a little bit into that.
Well, it's funny because GYV in their promo tonight kind of hinted at that. They're like, "Well, we're here for good now." Like we were here before, but now we're here for good.
Yeah, they did the same promo twice, which was interesting too. Yeah. the tape in the parking garage and then the promo in front of the camera, and they were all the same thing. So it's like, okay, cool.
And we got to see Sting.
No, that was cool too. That was very cool.
I like I said, I'd heard about that ahead of time, and some of the stuff I wish I could have seen live, but now that I didn't see it live, it's like, okay, I'll see it when I see it.
Yeah,
and I'll watch the whole thing, and then I'll give my full thoughts when I watch it on X. I won't do it on here because it'll be dated already, but probably watch it this weekend.
I'm all for ice cold takes if you want to bring.
Okay, well, we'll see. If anything really strikes me, I'll do it. But from what I understand, it was pretty much what I was expecting. I've seen people call it a top 10 all-time show. I've seen people more inclined to have your take on it, and I have a feeling I'll be somewhere in the middle, leaning towards yours. Is my feeling based on what I've heard. So, but I got to see it before I can actually decide. Is Jeff stalled?
No, you stalled, and then I stalled, and now I'm back.
Okay. All right. Well, your video is stalled a bit, but it'll probably catch up in a second. Wait, I guess that's about all we got to talk about. There's still no TV deal. Oh yeah, there you go. I think I saw your eye. Yeah, there you go. Your eyes are moving now. Okay. Still no TV deal. Some people thought it might come today. I have a feeling we might see it the week of All Out. Maybe. I think they're doing a Dynamite. That's what, 2 weeks from now? Or is it? No, that's next week, right? I think they're doing a Dynamite in Chicago.
I think next week is Dynamite in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. So we might hear something next week. So tonight they did just over 2,000 people in a building that seats, I think, 15,000. It's the home of the Fighting Illini, which,
yes.
When they're playing, there's more people than were there tonight. But I will say, and I was arguing with people in our Discord. If you want to argue with me on Discord, send Gigi at fightgamemedia.com an email, and we'll get you into the Discord, because these crowds and these ratings, if I put it this way, if I live in Champaign, Illinois, and they're doing a show after the week after All In,
mm-hmm.
I know that there's not going to be any big matches on the show, because they're going to load up the pay-per-view with 100 matches, and there's not going to be anything left for TV. So I'm not going to be inclined to buy anything. And as of a week ago, I don't think anything had been announced for the show. They announced a couple things on the pay-per-view. I think they announced Hayter and Saraya, and they announced Ricochet and Kyle Fletcher. Maybe it was after the matches. And then they announced a couple things yesterday. But if you're in the city, there's no incentive to buy tickets unless you just really want to see AEW and you don't really care who's going to be on the show. That's really the audience that they're attracting right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You've got to advertise.
They've gone the college route, thinking that they're going to get the young kids back or whatever.
Yeah.
Their marketing stinks. There's no other way to put it, because they're just announcing stuff on for one show on the next show and hoping that that'll be enough to get people to come.
That would be more than what they're doing.
No, I would agree. I don't know if they have street teams or anything working the cities on the approach.
I've heard nothing. And the other thing is when they put tickets on sale, so maybe tickets went on sale 2 months ago for this show, they'll put up a graphic and it'll be in the city and it'll be in the local advertising. It'll have all these faces on it. And Dave has
that's not marketing.
No.
But to me it's the laziest form of posters.
But it's worse than that, because what happens is they'll put 7 or 8 faces on this poster, and then when the actual show happens, there might be 1 or 2 of them on the show.
Oh.
And so what happens is people buy tickets expecting, I'm going to see Moxley, I'm going to see Kenny Omega, whoever's on the poster. And yeah, if there's an injury, that's one thing. They can't control that. But if you advertise someone, make sure they're on the show. Whether they have a match, an interview, a promo, something. Put the dark match, put them on the show. Otherwise, people are going to look at it next time and say, well, I can't trust that anybody they advertise can be on the show. And the last show I went to in Winnipeg, I overheard many, many, many people. Where's this guy? Where's that guy? Where's this guy? Where's that guy? I'm not coming back. And the second show they did had half the audience of the first one, and I'll bet you the next one has half of the audience of that one, because you're down to, I just want to see wrestling.
Well, see, and that to me is how they market and book, is for people who just want to watch wrestling, as opposed to something might happen this week, and you got to be there live. As opposed to, I'll hear about the TV review or whatever, or I'll watch it on television or whatever. And yeah, I'm part of. I don't want people to get fired, but I'm kind of hoping that in this new deal they cut back on the TV, because I think that's the major problem here. I think they're overextended, and I'm told they have a team of 24 people in creative. Why don't we have outlines and shows for the next 4 to 5 weeks ready and plugging those cards as we head along?
So they have a 24-man creative team. They have matches. They have people that they advertise for shows that aren't on them. They have cards for the next week that aren't even set up yet and are set up basically the day before or sometimes the day of the show.
Yes, announced on Twitter.
They have people watching TVs at a weird angle backstage. They have a Money in the Bank concept now. And we have an upcoming world title match at some point that's going to be Bryan Danielson and Christian Cage.
Maybe.
Is this 2016 WWE that we're watching? Like, I don't know.
It's just it is a little frustrating. As a fan, because but then again, I want something different than other people want. Like, I want build and angles and stuff like that, and this is your good wrestling crowd. Okay, enjoy the 2,200 or so. Oh my
God. We'll get to this. Stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, so let's get into this show, because there was some good, there was some not so good, there was some not so good.
There were some baffling things, but there were some good things on here.
So we had a cold open. Now, can I get the good stuff out of the way first in this opening segment before we get to the really bizarre thing in it?
Sure.
Okay. I love the way they opened this show. Excalibur right away told us we had a new world champ. We got some scenes from the Danielson Swerve match. We saw Hangman get involved, so we know we're getting Hangman Swerve at some point. And they showed Danielson tapping him out. They had Danielson's family in the ring. It was really nice. And then they also showed they didn't just have Excalibur run down the card for the night with a little tiny graphic in the corner of the screen. They put up full screen graphics of what was going to be on the show tonight, and they left them up there for 10, 15 seconds for each one. Yeah. That was great.
No, I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Set up. Here's what you're going to see tonight on this show. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Here's what happened over the weekend.
And here's why you're going to see what you're seeing on the show tonight, which I liked even more. So yeah, that was really good. Now, then we get into the meat of the show.
Then we open with Mox.
We hear some music that I've never heard before. And
apparently, this is his New Japan theme.
If you say so.
That's what Twitter told me. If it's on the internet, it must be true.
All right. Well, I guess we heard Mox's New Japan theme.
I don't care.
To 95% of the people watching, it was a brand new song.
Yes.
And I watched New Japan. I just finished watching the whole G1, and I'm not familiar with this song. But, of course, I usually fast forward the entrances. So, with the New Japan app, it's really easy to just skip right to the wrestling.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this because it's one of the things that somebody on commentary should have pointed out.
Yes.
Where it's like, hey, that's Mox's theme. He's not coming out to Wild Thing. What's going on here? Huh? You know, it's so blatantly obvious that they're, I mean, everything about this screams Mox heel turn. Yeah. And it's almost like we have to play oblivious to it for 2 weeks before it happens. And it's so stupid. Yeah. Just start noticing things like, hey, seems like, I mean, they noticed he was in a bad mood. That's cool. But they should have gone, hey, that's not the usual music we have with the crowd singing along type of a thing. If
you're wondering why Jon Moxley isn't coming out to his regular music, this is the music he used in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The last time we saw Jon Moxley, he was the NJPW World Champion. And he lost that title at Forbidden Door to Tetsuya Naito. Do this while he's coming in.
Yes.
Fill in the crowd.
Yes, tell me a story here, please.
Now, of course, if they had said that, I would have missed it because I would have been skipping, but everyone else would have heard it.
Well, I would have been able to at least remind you of this when you came out. They didn't tell us anything. No, Paul, they did.
So he looked completely different. He's leaner. He's dressed in all black. He's real clean cut. He
got the nice shaved dome.
Yeah, he looked like someone.
He looks healthy.
He looks very healthy, and he looks like he could kill you. Like he looks like a sidekick in a what's that guy's name? That English guy that does the action movies.
Guy Ritchie?
No. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
That's Guy Ritchie.
No, it's not. But that's not Jason Statham.
Oh, Jason Statham.
He looks like
you were
Jason
thinking
Statham's
actor. I was thinking director. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's like Jason Statham's sidekick.
A little bit.
Yeah, like his heavy. But so he gets in the ring, and Tony Schiavone's on the case. He's got a microphone, and he reminds us that we haven't seen him since Forbidden Door. The crowd is completely dead because they're confused. They may not even realize this is Moxley. Like, he looks different.
Yes.
And he's using different music. But he came through the crowd, so they should have known. And he asked him if everything's okay.
Let's stop here because Tony Schiavone was fantastic. With the hey buddy, how's it going? Obviously, just set himself up to just get cranky. I thought Mox might clothesline him. I love this.
Yeah, he asked him. Well, he senses something's off. He says, "Is everything okay?" And Mox said, "Well, while I've been gone, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and there's some things that need to get done. So I came here looking for a man, but he's not here. I came to have a conversation with a man who's not here. He's nothing like me, but he's everything like me. This conversation is long overdue." And then finally he tells us who he's talking about. Darby Allin. It's about time you and I had a talk. I'm like, okay, what? This is out of nowhere. Trust me, I'm not going to be hard to find. And then he starts to walk out of the ring. Tony's confused, and he's about to move on. And then Mox gets back in his face, and he says, "I'm going to tell you something. It's going to take some time for everyone to wrap their brains around this, but listen to me." And he puts his hand on Tony, and he says, "This is not your company anymore." And then he walks out, and the announcer's like, "What's this supposed to mean?" This is like, they're totally like Michael Cole and Byron Saxton.
And the crowd's cheering him when he leaves. It's like, guys, this is an obvious heel turn. Let's not cheer that.
I guess, I don't know why. I get, and this is not your company anymore. Like, and then Tony's like, "It's not my company anyways." Like, he says that on commentary. Like, what's he talking about?
I kind of liked that part of it because it feels like it's like, well, Mox came out here to have a conversation, and the guy he wants to talk to isn't here, but he's going to have the conversation anyways. You know how like you're in your car driving, I'm going to tell this person, "Look, you listen to me. I'm not going to take your crap anymore, Mr. Boss Man." Blah 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 blah. Then it's like, boss isn't here. Well, let me tell you something. I'm not going to take your crap anymore, Mr. Boss Man. I worked up this speech all the way here. You're going to hear it right now.
So, I mean, this is basically their Raw after Mania. It's their Dynamite after All In. And we opened with this.
Yeah.
And the crowd was dead. I mean, this was the return of a guy who's
Well, the crowd wasn't dead. The crowd was still cheering him when he left. It was so weird because they're supposed to be booing him at this point, I think, when he says Darby Allin.
Maybe. I mean,
maybe, but Mox has played kind of the tweener so much that you don't really.
Darby's feuding with Jack Perry. He's got a world title match coming up with Bryan Danielson. Now he's feuding with Mox.
Yes.
Like, he's like the new MJF. Remember when MJF had like 9 feuds last year at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like Darby now. Yeah, so I guess we're going to get Mox and Darby probably at All In. Or All Out, I guess. Probably.
No.
Right? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
All right, you think this is going to be a slow burn?
I think this is a build for something at Grand Slam. And
no, Grand Slam is when Darby's wrestling Bryan Danielson.
Yes, I know that.
Oh, so you think that's where you think he's going to screw Darby?
I think that's probably where Mox makes his move.
And maybe Danielson turns heel too. That'd be hilarious.
I have some thoughts that maybe Danielson may not be champ going into Grand Slam.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
You're really selling me on this pay-per-view. Okay.
No, well, we'll talk about it in a moment.
So next up, we go from this new Jon Moxley to his wife, Remarkable Renee. And she's with the conglomeration and the new FTW champion, Hook. And it's now, again, it's not the For the World Championship anymore. It's the F the World. And she mentions that Ishii's about to be in there with Hangman Adam Page, and the rest of these guys are going to be wrestling Learning Tree and Roddy Strong. And Mark says, my man, Big Tom, going to whip some cowboy ass. Rest of us, we had some E10 tag team action. The 3 of us were not successful at the Casino Gauntlet match. However, you know who was successful? Our partner Hook. How does that feel? And Renee asked him, and he said, pretty cool. And she said, you damn right. Big Tom and Widow was also successful. And on account of all that, Will gets to decide what type of whooping Chris Statlander had coming her way at All Out. Widow, what you think, girl? You know what I'm thinking? Whooping Tushy is just what I want to do, but CML won't even sanction it. It's a street fight, a Chicago street fight. So I'm guessing now this is like not even for the title, is what it sounds like.
It sounds like CMLL isn't happy.
Yeah.
But still for the title, maybe. Did you miss the word of the day?
Nope.
Okay.
So after Willow, he says, that's what I'm talking about. The word of the day is infatigability. To beat the fatigued. In 8-man tag team action, we're going to whip some ass. Big Tom going to whip some cowboy ass. And they take off, and then they cut away, and before we get to the awkward Orange Cassidy and Renee mumbling, thank God they just cut it. Like, we didn't even hear it. It looked like they were doing it.
Well, they they also missed the Hook Orange Cassidy joke, kind of, where he's eating chips and Orange Cassidy just decides to take some Doritos. Okay.
But yeah, they cut away, so we didn't get the classic ending to these promos.
Right.
But it was a Mark Briscoe promo.
Indefatigable? Or yes.
Okay. I wrote it down as he said it.
Okay, well, I sent it to you.
I know. I knew what the word was, but I was trying to write because if I write down how he says it, then I can pronounce it like he does. So it was cute. And that led to Hangman Page and Tomohiro Ishii and this match. So now we're talking about Mox for the first part of it. They started off by trading blows and they're getting like no reaction, but then they just kept doing it. And eventually people got into the match because they were just beating the shit out of each other. And they did a crowd pan, and it looked like there's like nobody in this building, but I guess it's 2,000 people in a 15,000 seat arena. So it's going to look like that.
Yes.
They go through a commercial break. They come back, and now they're talking about Hangman and Swerve. So again, they're telling us that that's the next direction. Hangman's using submission moves, which he hasn't used before. They're doing more chopping. They pointed out that Hangman has a history in New Japan. They both went down from elbows, and then they go through another break. And so, two breaks, and there's another match later where they had 2 breaks. So this is a lot of we got nothing for this show, so just go out there and wrestle. And so they come back, they trade lariats, headbutt, clothesline from Ishii. They're, crowd's going nuts now. Hangman drops him with a clothesline. They run into each other like bulls with clothesline. Hangman drops him again, hits a dead eye, and then the buckshot and gets the win. And I didn't point out is earlier Ishii hit a dead eye on Hangman, and that landing looked rough. So
both Taz and Excalibur were like, did he break his neck?
Yeah, well, and when he got up, he was like he was woozy, but hopefully he's okay. I mean, he wrestled like 10 minutes after that, so he's probably okay. But I mean, it was a good match, really good match, but I mean, utterly pointless. But
pointless? Why are they wrestling? Came in my head. Why are they taking so long to get to the point? Came in my head after when we got to the second commercial break. After the second commercial break, match was friggin' awesome.
Yeah. After the second commercial break,
right at the moment where I was about to say this match is going too long and it's boring, was the time where it kicked in and it got awesome.
And the 8-man tag was the exact same. Like they went through 2 commercial breaks and it got awesome after the second one. Yeah.
Yes. But it felt like a stall for time match. I think you're right about that. But yeah. I mean, look, the ending was great, but it left me a little cold because I'm just like, okay, this is a match and it's a good match and it's for people who like good matches. It seems like we should be like having a lot more stuff on this show. I actually thought about this. I went, man, this stuff's running so long that they're not going to have time for all these angles and setups and stuff that they're going to be doing for this show.
And then
they didn't do it.
Well, then you realize they don't really have much for this show.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, it was just weird. I mean, don't get me wrong.
They had 100 people wrestling on All In, and I think they might have had like 25 on the show, maybe, if that. So, anyways, match is over, and out comes Swerve, and he's got a mic, and he's mad that Hangman got involved. Came out here to look him in the face and tell him he feels sorry for him. Says, "You're the one who's become a petulant little child. With every tirade and tantrum that you throw, you get further and further away from success, and I get closer to it. Make no mistake, I may not have a gold belt around my waist, but I will always be referred to as a world champion, and this will always be whose house? Swerve house. And in regards to this, you failed." And then Hangman says, and I'm not going to even try to do it because he was fired up. He says, "Listen to me. You're not a champion. You're a piece of shit. You broke into my home. You wrestled me 3 times. You could never beat me on your own." I'm glad he reminded us of this. The first time it took Prince Nana. Second time it took Nana and Cage. And the third time you had 30 minutes and you couldn't do it. You're not as good as me. And you know what I want? I want to leave them out of it. I want just you and I like this began. And I want you on your knees. And then Swerve answers and he says, "You want to lock them out? How about we lock them out and we lock us in? All out steel cage match. But I want to ask you something. What kind of man are you going to be in that cage? At Revolution, it was you, me, and Samoa Joe. You gave up in the middle of the ring. Not because you were beaten, but because you didn't want me to have it. And that pissed me off. You don't know about this, but I drove 10 minutes up the road and I went to your house. Place I know very, very well, Hangman. I parked out in front and I waited till the morning. I saw you escorting your pregnant wife down the stairs, bag packed, getting in the car, going to the hospital. You're about to become a father for, quote here, for the very second time." He said, "That's the man Hangman Page was supposed to be. I realized I didn't need to focus on Hangman. I need to focus on being world champion. That's what I did. And mark my words, it will happen again. But you're so focused on me. You can't win the Owen. You can't win the Casino Gauntlet. You let your team down at Blood and Guts because all you do is focus on me. I challenged you to remind me what cowboy shit was all about. And instead of trying to burn my world to the ground, it's your career that's going up in flames, boy. So once again, I ask you in that question, what kind of man are you going to be? What kind of man are you going to show your kids that you're going to be?" And Hangman's just like looking at him and he's like, doesn't have anything to say and he just walks out. I thought Swerve, that second part there and Swerve's thing, I thought was really, really good. And I liked Hangman's fire. Like Hangman almost came off like the baby face, but crowd was booing him, so it got the reaction it was supposed to.
No, it didn't.
You don't think it did? Well, what was the reaction it was supposed to get?
Swerve's the heel.
But he didn't get booed.
Exactly.
He's not the heel. He's
the heel.
He's the baby face.
He went to his house and stood outside and watched his family.
Yes, he did.
That is not a baby face move. This is why I was so confused about this, because it's like the first half.
He's a baby face.
No, I know it. It's so stupid because number one, nobody gave a damn about what they were going to say. It was the stare and the head. That's all they needed. Maybe somebody should have thrown a punch there. Especially since you're the guy who screwed the guy out of the biggest title in our sport. Maybe we can be that. And then we decide to monologue. And then he starts off with the babyface condescension kind of thing where it's like, you know what, I'm in your head, I know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and by the way, I went back to stalk your family again.
On the day,
and you're telling me he's the babyface.
He is. He's the
What show were you watching? This is a unofficial turn by Hangman where he's like, I don't know. Because basically what Swerve did was the Alec Baldwin line in Glengarry Glen Ross. Family man, fuck you. Go home and play with your kids. That's what it was. Pardon my French. I don't like to swear on these things.
I know.
But it's one of those things where it's just like within the same promo, he was both the babyface and the heel in this feud. And then Hangman walks off like a wuss. I'm sorry. That was emo Hangman is back, everybody. The emotionally disturbed cowboy who loves the drinky drink.
At the very beginning of this promo, what's the first thing that Swerve said to him?
Yeah.
You're the one who's become a petulant little child. And then what did he do at the end?
Petulant little child left.
Yeah.
Show Jason's message here. Because this is my thought. They hate each other so much they just stood there and monologued.
And is this not something else that used to always happen in WWE that people used to complain about? The your turn, my turn promos.
Yes.
With the two hated rivals.
Yes.
Meanwhile, now you got.
I'm sorry. I'm so mad at you. I'm being rude and might be talking over what you're saying to me at this important point. It's the typical. This is so overstaged. And
a month ago, Hangman couldn't even get to the ring without like attacking Swerve and handcuffing him to a thing, and now he's just going to stand there and while he tells him a story about
this is a story that they read on paper and it looked great, and it's a writer's story because they're monologuing back and forth to each other. They're doing scene. But this is where you need an acting teacher to say no, this has no basis in reality.
Swerve didn't even get a call from HR for breaking into a coworker's house and threatening their baby, but Perry got suspended for getting put in a headlock. That's AEW booking, LOL.
Well, MJF was holding up HR because Britt and his girlfriend were getting in a fight backstage.
Well, tonight, Daniel Garcia attacked MJF from behind and put him in a guillotine and choked him out.
Yes.
When CM Punk did that, he got fired. They showed the footage.
Oh, Paul, you and your continuity.
Well, yeah. So anyway,
wanting things to be logical and make sense. How dare you? It's just wrestling.
As I was watching this segment, I loved it. I wrote down.
That's why they only have 2,000 people in this.
As we broke it down, I realized there may
exactly. No, and this is a problem here. Is like the Brads of the world are yelling at me to shut up and stop looking at this so seriously. But this is how I watch television. I can't help myself.
I have no idea what this means, but hopefully the listeners do. Swerve was Debo and Hangman was Red. Swerve stole Red's chain. Oh, is this Shawshank?
No, that's Friday.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking the other Red. I get you.
Yeah.
I'm Caucasian. I get
Friday.
You.
Okay, there we go. All right. So that was that segment. So we're getting that match.
I'm watching and I'm going. Okay,
match will be awesome.
Swerve's doing the. You know what? You're in. I came here I couldn't believe the first words was, I came here to talk to you. I'm just like, dude, he just screwed you out of your world title. You should be throwing blows right now. What are you doing?
Okay, what did Hangman do to screw him? I missed that.
He came out during the match.
But did
he was trying to get into the ring and security took him away. Meanwhile, and Swerve is jaw jacking at him, turns around and
walked into a move.
Walked into a move. Yeah, so it's one of those types of things.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to do this then. Okay, you're going to get into his head. You're going to get into his head a bit, and then you're going to leave, and then Hangman's going to rage. Because that's what Hangman's been doing. He's been ragey cowboy going all around because this is the man who hurt his family. If he's not going to talk, it's because he's so enraged. Nope. I stalked your wife and kid again.
So now we can now we can add distraction finishes in main event matches to those WWE tropes that they're doing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I will say that the sickos will watch the segment, and their one takeaway was going to be, "Oh, we're getting Hangman and Swerve in a cage at all.
It's going to be a good match.
Take my money, Tony. Take my money."
Yeah,
Tony.
no, look, I'm looking forward to it too. Although,
and don't tell me what the main event's going to be.
Although, God knows, how are we going to screw this cage match up? Because of course the cage isn't going to be enough. And is somebody going to be able to escape the cage in this one? Because
oh, I hope not. No, this has got to be a fight to the death.
Open the door, and then Nana slams it.
No, I think I will make a prediction that no interference. We're going to see it finished. And probably going to be Swerve beating him again.
Yes.
So we get Jamie Hayter and Harley Cameron. So this was my first time seeing Jamie Hayter. And I wrote down she has red hair and looks completely different. She got welcome back chance. And Saraya was with Harley.
Transfer Heat is on one tonight because he's on point. Yes.
Hangman went to the back to cry, put on his butterfly.
No. I was looking at the cage match. We just had these two in a blood and guts match. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
couldn't settle it there possibly.
Well, no, because Darby threatened to light Jack Perry on fire. That was that.
No, we had hold on. Remember that we had Swerve handcuffed. Nana comes down with bolt cutters, and Jeff Jarrett has the key to heroically save the guy, so he can then go stalk Hangman again 10 minutes outside his house.
No. That the stalking 10 minutes after was after the match at Revolution.
Remember I know that, but still.
Remember when he's off for personal issues? I guess now we know what that was.
Look, if you're going by the house once, you're going by every time you're in the neighborhood.
Why does Hangman get like 4 months off every time he has a kid? I think I worked the next day. Like, the world has changed.
He's a millennial.
Yeah. All right. So we got again Jamie Hayter and Harley Cameron. So Harley's out there with Saraya and a couple of her friends, new friends that she got. Hayter, I wrote down, looks a lot leaner. Harley nearly fell off the ropes while trying some sort of springboard. Harley blocked a soul food finisher. She had a hate breaker, then 2 more. Crowd was super into it, and she hit a clothesline for the win. It was just a
Harley made her look like $1 million. The best wrestler in this company. This is now a Harley Cameron fan show. No, she was fine, but there's no ridiculousness in the Harley character this week, which is something she needs every week.
Yeah, and then after the match, Saraya pushed Harley into Hayter and took off through the crowd. So I assume we're getting that match either on Dynamite or maybe at All Out.
I think we're getting it at All Out. Which is an interesting blow-off for that thing.
Yeah, unless
because her contract's close to being up, isn't it?
Yeah, unless they do it like maybe on Collision or something, if depending on when her contract's up.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're doing, I think, Collision's live this week. I know there's a week coming up where they're taping Collision on the same night as Dynamite. And then they're taping Rampage the week earlier. Like, there's a lot of tapings happening.
It's like a Tuesday that's coming up because they have that head-to-head one with NXT.
Well, that's October, but this is before that. I think it's Grand Slam. They're not doing a Grand Slam Rampage this year. They're doing Grand Slam Collision.
That's smart.
And they're taping Rampage at different times. So I guess So this someone that's going to the show sent me something about it. All right, so we go backstage again to Remarkable Renee, and this time she's with the Learning Tree and Roddy, and she says, "Let's talk All In." And she's, "Big Bill, what a reception you got from the UK crowd." And Bill says, as Chris Jericho always says, the opinions of the fans change like the leaves of the Learning Tree, and fall's just around the corner, and things are about to get colorful. It made no sense, but it wasn't supposed to. And he's smiling the whole time. And then Chris says, Renee says, "Chris unfortunately lost the FTW title to Hook. How are things going to change?" And he says, "I had 127 days as a glorious champion, and Hook finally took the advice of the Learning Tree. And specifically because of the lessons I taught him, he's now once again the For the World champion. I'm proud of you, Hook." And then Roddy says, "I know we haven't always seen eye to eye. I'm sorry for beating you. It really is a big honor for me to be a big part of the Learning Tree, even if it's just for one night, or to be part of the Jericho Vortex," I think is what he said.
Paul, you missed something.
What did I miss?
The random screaming is back.
Oh, yeah. Chris! Jericho. Yeah, I know. I
I
was trying to
I, I,
ignore
I
it.
tried to block it out of my head,
Yeah.
but I hate it. I hate it.
Oh,
I hate it. I hate
he's
it.
never stopped. You say it's back. I see him on
No, that's
ROH all
true.
the time.
You
Yeah.
turn it on and off.
Well, you just don't see him do promos as much anymore. That's all. He says, "Help me with one thing. Orange Cassidy's bad news. I can't get him away from Kyle." And Jericho says, "Orange Cassidy, you still owe me $7,000 for ruining my jacket, and tonight we're going to take this out of you with interest, out of your," and I'm quoting Jericho here, "out of your conglomeration," is what he called them. I think that was just a flub. And he says, "Tonight, all four of you are going to pay the price." And then he stops and he says, "Pay the price." And then just in case we couldn't figure out what's going to happen next. And everyone but Brian Keith leaves. And he says, "Pay the damn price." And Renee has this look of disgust on her face. And I was very upset with Renee. She should have laughed. But she was disgusted.
We have now turned Brian Keith into Ron Simmons, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, he's got, yes. Yeah. I mean, he basically is, but at least he says different things every time.
Yes, that's true.
But he's basically echoing. And he's great. And he's better in the ring than Ron Simmons was at that point.
Oh, yeah.
At that point. Ron Simmons was probably better earlier in his career. We got highlights of Will and MJF, and they showed Daniel Garcia showing up, costing MJF the match, is what they said. But then they showed Ospreay hitting the Tiger Driver 91 to win. I had heard that it would look really rough. I don't know. It looked pretty safe to me on the way they showed it.
I'm not a worker. Know. I can't judge.
Okay. And it's now back to the International Championship again.
Yes.
So MJF's music hits. We thought, oh, maybe he's going to be out for a month selling this devastating move. Much like Bryan Danielson.
He may have had like a segment at the Blackpool Combat Club where they taught him to turn his head.
Yeah. Much like Bryan Danielson, who they built the story around, he was back real quick too. He only missed 1 week of TV, if you recall. So his music hits and he's out with a mic. His neck's all taped up. And he says, "I'm in a tremendous amount of pain right now. I've got a splitting headache. And I'm going to politely warn you to pipe down, or so help me God, I will beat the holy hell out of each and every one of you in this podunk arena." And Tony Schiavone has to stop him and say, "It's not a podunk arena." He says, "I'm talking." And he says, after the events that transpired, and fans are chanting, "Shut the fuck up." And he has to stop. And then he just goes back to it at Wembley. "I have lost my ring. I lost my championship, and I have 2 herniated discs in my spine. And where were all you when I was defending this country and this company? None of you held my back. So I hereby denounce my American citizenship. I will no longer be associated with this garbage country. The only part of this country that matters is the most magical place in the world, known as Plainview, Long Island, New York. I denounce all you fans who show me no respect. After everything I've done for this company, for this sport, I'm sick that I've allowed you people to live in lies. Without MGF, this company is a circus. And speaking of circus acts, Ricochet, Will Ospreay, I'm speaking to you and you alone. The whole world knows I had you beat, Will. You cheated like a gutless little worm. This ain't over, boy, not by a long shot. Keep your head on a swivel. I know how talented you are. One day you're going to come close to winning the greatest prize in this sport. And just as you're about to do it, I'm going to cut you out at the knees with a smile on my face." Hey, isn't this like the exact same thing that Hangman's doing with Swerve? Anyways, yes. And last but not least, now I'm going to talk about the worst of them all. A little child I tried to help. A boy who wasn't intelligent enough to hear it. "You bum, Daniel Garcia. If you show your face in my company again," and before he can finish, Garcia attacks him from behind like a coward and stomps him. And I wrote down that he looks like Minnie Mox. He's dressed exactly like him. Okay, haircut exactly the same. Beard exactly the same, just tiny. Then he chokes him out with a guillotine in the center of the ring, drops him, puts him on the top rope. MJF's completely out of it, and he's going to give him a pile driver off the top rope like MJF did to him. But security shows up and stops it. Tony Schiavone wonders where that security was when MJF was doing this to Garcia, and it's like, well, MJF's a big star. That's why. So MJF attacked him from behind. With punches, laid the boots to him, but Garcia got the momentum back, set up for the pile driver again, but now Chris Daniels and more security showed up to break it up, and crowd's chanting, "Let them fight." And before we got into the promo, anything you want to add?
Basically, they said the camera angle was fantastic on it. I wouldn't have given MJF a single thing here. I would have had MJF taking a powder. I would have let Garcia have the surprise attack, and then MJF eventually gets his revenge next week in the build for All Out or Grand Slam, etc. But there's enough. All Out. Oh, is it okay? There's enough room here. You have 2 weeks. Let him get his shine here, and then MJF gets the revenge next week. I would have been fine with that because that camera angle and the beatdown was so good until they had to then give MJF his due as well. I really liked, but I love the camera angle. I agree with that too.
The only thing is, like I said, it was a babyface, was a coward, and then as soon as the odds were even,
I get that, but see, is he a coward or is he just angry? He's a man.
Well, no, but when the odds were even, that's when MJF got the heat, and they shouldn't have done that. I agree.
Yes. Garcia was so angry, he went in there and beat up the guy who knocked him out of wrestling. Hangman was so angry, or Swerve was so angry, he went in there and talked.
Yeah. So he grabs a mic and he says, speaking of talking, Maxwell, you thought it would be that easy? Hey, Max, I knew you were looking for that diamond ring. Well, I pawned it off in Buffalo for a round trip to London to ruin the biggest moment of your life. You thought that was bad? You know what's bad? Having your mother watch you be wheeled out on a stretcher on the biggest night of your life. Max, ruining your life is all I think about. So now we got 3 guys trying to ruin people's lives. My obsession, my fetish, and I talked to Tony Khan, and right down the road in Chicago, MJF versus Danny Garcia at All Out. And Max, listen to me. Beating you in a match is not enough for me. I won't feel fulfilled until I pick you up and drop you on your neck and break your neck, or drop you on your head and break your neck. And if anyone else on this planet cares about you, they'll have to suffer with you. And then he threw the mic in MJF's face, and then MJF accepted the challenge, even though Garcia told him it was already signed. So I don't know if this is a hint that Alicia Tout's going to get involved, or maybe not. Maybe I'm
that's Wardlow.
Oh, could be. Wardlow. God. So we're getting that match now. So I mean, they're setting up matches, but I mean, this is like, it's like All In is like done. Like, we just had the biggest show. Forget about that. We're focusing on a week from now, or a week and a half from now.
Yeah, to me, this is one of those things where Garcia's promo should have been. See, I don't like arena promos all that much. This is one of those studio promos I would have liked. Kind of a more quiet one, maybe building up a little bit. And then when he finally gets in the ring and attacks Max, then it's like, we're having a fight. I'm going to break your damn neck in Chicago type of a thing. Less is more for arenas, in my
allegedly,
opinion.
Daniel Garcia is not even re-signed yet. So
no, he is not.
So, I mean, we'll see if MJF just beats him at All Out. That might be a clue. Transferring Heat says, I'll give Tony credit. He's tried for 3 years with Garcia. Not for me, but I'll give him credit for not giving up on him. I like Garcia a lot. So, I
like him, and I understand why they went these routes with him. It's one of those things where it's like you get the idea, and then Tony lets you go with it. But Tony's not going to go, okay, we need to stop this idea because it's hurting you right now.
Yeah. There was one nice touch here at the end. They're focusing on, I guess Garcia had MJF's scarf, and the camera's focusing on him. And all of a sudden you see Garcia, he looks up and he sees a beeline from where he is to where MJF just left. And he bolts like a bat out of hell up the stage, through the tunnels, and the security is caught off guard, and they're like trying to catch up to him. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like he was going after, just because the segment's over doesn't mean he's done. And of course, they never followed up on it, but at least it was kind of cool. We got a video package on Ricochet. Excalibur calls him one of the most electrifying athletes on planet Earth. He says he's here to he made a moment at Wembley. And then he said a bunch of other stuff that I couldn't hear over the music. And he says he wants to give fans a Ricochet they've been dying to see. Well, all they had to do is turn on to Raw if they wanted to see the Ricochet they saw tonight. And first day of a journey. Let's see where this journey takes us. And Excalibur tells us that their match is the main event. And I mean, it was just the same old Ricochet. I mean, he's even got.
Well, now he's from Vegas as opposed to Kentucky.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah, that's because they moved the PC.
No, not yet. I am very confused about this because it's like we're gonna debut Ricochet at All In. Okay, great. Ooh, they might be setting him up for something. Nope. Okay, he's gonna have his first match here, and instead of making him look spectacular, he's doing 50-50 with Kyle Fletcher.
Well, Kyle Fletcher's the big star, don't you know?
Don't get me wrong, I love Kyle Fletcher. Loved his gear tonight, by the way. Thought it was very good.
What's with the mask?
I don't know.
Okay. Thought I missed something.
But yes, this was super indie Ricochet, who, if you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times.
I will also say wrestling Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite is not a step up from wrestling Braun Breaker on Raw. I'm just saying. And he had some great matches this year on Raw. And if you want to see Ricochet have great matches, I mean, it's not like you have to go back and find them on the indie archives from 7 years ago, because he had some good matches on Raw too. And yeah, like we'll talk about his match later, but I don't know.
I wouldn't have put him in with a guy 6'4" who does acrobatic stuff.
Yeah.
For his first match. I would have done something where it's like, hey, Ricochet's the spectacular acrobatic one. Not the guy.
You know who the opponent should have been? Commander.
Commander, yes.
Yeah. Commander can do his flips and they can go back and forth, and they can have a great, I've seen Kyle Fletcher have way better matches on Dynamite than he had with Ricochet tonight.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
But this wasn't supposed to be a Kyle Fletcher match either. This was supposed to be a Ricochet match.
And it almost came off more like a Kyle Fletcher match by the end.
It did almost come off more like a Kyle Fletcher match. I would agree.
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Or, even put Ricochet, no offense, I love the dude, but they're obviously not going to do anything with him, as we'll see later. But Mortis, Ricochet would have been a hell of a good match.
Yes. God, yes. Or Takeshita.
No. No.
Okay.
No, because I'd want Takeshita to beat him.
Takeshita's not going to be beating people. All right.
On Friday.
Not that I don't think. Well, probably. Yeah. We'll get to him too. All right. Next up, the 8-man tag: Hook, Orange Cassidy, Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly against Learning Tree and Roddy. They showed highlights from the Gauntlet match, and they showed the three guys in the conglomerate. Well, I mean, they all lost. Nobody won. They showed Nigel. At first, they didn't even they're showing him on the screen, but they didn't say who it was. And then finally they told us. They mentioned Zack Sabre Jr., but didn't show him. And they showed Christian winning with Killswitch's help. And they basically said it was a Money in the Bank. And they showed highlights of Hook winning the FTW title by submission. I guess Taz got involved. And Taz has a line here, and he says, the bad guys didn't cheat, and the good guy needed a little help, needed a little helping hand, and he laughed. I had to rewind that to make sure I heard it right. He says, the bad guys didn't cheat, and the good guy needed a little helping hand. So, all right.
Yes, he choked out Brian Keith.
Okay, and that allowed, made it more fair. So
yes.
Hook could beat Jericho.
Yes.
Crowd was dead at the start. I was bored. They do a standoff with all 8 guys in the middle. Crowd went
party
nuts
match. It was fine. Let's move on.
Yeah, they went to a break. Yeah, so okay, you know what? Honestly, yeah. The one thing I do want to mention, they set up a spot here because they mentioned earlier that Big Bill had gotten a great crowd reaction in London.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up a spot here where Big Bill got to run wild on all the heels, and so the crowd, or on the baby faces, I should say, so the crowd could cheer him. And they went nuts for him. I don't know why, unless he's churning right away. Like, this was counterproductive to your, and these are all big baby faces, like, Orange Cassidy, Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, but anyways, they did that. Then later on, they did a similar spot where Brian Keith went wild on the baby faces, but he got booed. So I think they're prejudiced. But anyways, we get to the end.
What are you doing?
I don't know. What is it? Jericho teased a dive, and then he just said, "Hi, guys." And then Hook punched him in the face.
That was funny. I laughed.
Yeah. Hook punched him in the face, hit a T-bone, backbreaker by Roddy, penalty kick by Kyle on him, jumping knee on Jericho. Orange Cassidy dived onto Bill. Briscoe dived off a chair and hit nobody. Roddy rolled up Hook for 2, went for the end of Heartache. Hook choked him out. Roddy had his foot under the rope, and he tapped, but the ref didn't see it. And so I assume that there's a match coming now, and the post-match kind of confirmed that suspicion. So.
Yes, we're gonna get those magnificent Hook Roddy promos.
Oh God, Hook! Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I was looking it up. I was trying to figure out if Bill had worked in the UK during his time in between things, and maybe it's because Impact was a big deal over there. I don't know, but yeah,
or WWE.
Maybe, but it was just such a random thing.
You know what?
And I love the dude.
When NXT toured the UK, that's when Big Bill and Enzo were huge. So
Okay.
it might be back from that. Or it might just be he's a big cool dude,
No, he's big and cool, and I love the guy, and I was happy he got that kind of reaction because it seems like they're gonna kind of play on it. It's just one of those things where I was trying to figure out the reason for it.
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't have a reason. They're weird over there. Jeff Hawkins at twitter.com.
What?
So they kept brawling after the match. Kingdom was in. They showed up. They attacked Hook. Roddy took him out with a high knee. Taven grabbed Hook's belt, put Roddy on their shoulders. He celebrated with the belt. Then he dropped it on Hook and he left. And that was that. So I guess we're getting Hook and Roddy probably at All Out for the world title.
I don't think all these are going to be All Out.
I think they probably are.
And then we only have a week.
Yeah, and I mean, and we got Grand Slam coming up right after that. So
well, good because I don't want an extended Roddy Hook program.
Do you realize we just had All In. Now we got All Out next weekend.
And then 2 weeks after that, it's going to be Grand Slam. Yes, they have too many events.
Then a week and a half after that, we have Wrestle Dream. And then a week after that, we have Title Tuesday.
Wrestle Dream's not real, is it?
Oh yeah, it's like the Seattle Forbidden
again.
Door.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's happening, dude. So this next segment, this could have been cut, except I think it was live. We get CEO Mercedes Moné backstage. Hello. So she is at the lamest party in the world. They had advertised a Mercedes Moné championship celebration, I believe. And
this is like every middle school party I ever went to.
Welcome to my party, and to celebrate me with another W. We got random people in the background, not even paying attention to her. I don't know what they're doing. And a private party of all people show up, and they start chanting CEO. And they said, "Let me show you how things are done, because you can't have a party without private party." Did you see that segment they did a couple weeks ago on Collision where they were having a party backstage and Scorpio Sky shows up and he can't get into the party? It was so dumb. Anyways, so they says at Capital Collision you're facing Momo Watanabe, and cheers to a fighting champion, Mercedes.
I'm sorry, at what?
Now. Capital Collision. That's on Friday, by the way. They didn't tell us.
That's a New Japan event, correct?
Correct. So they mentioned Capital Collision, but they didn't tell us when or where it is or how we
what
could
it
watch
was. Okay.
Yeah. Cheers to a fighting champion. Mercedes, I've been meaning to tell you this. I know you're single. I wear fur too. Red is the symbol of love, and that red would look great on top of me. Oh my God. He's credit for trying to shoot above your what's the expression?
Outkick your coverage.
Outkick your coverage, yeah. He's out of his league here. So who should show up to step in and break up this flirting but Kazuchika Okada? and
how do you say goodbye, bitches?
Yeah.
In Japanese.
How do you say bye, bitch, in Japanese? So he whispers in her ear. She says, sayonara
bitches.
And she laughs. And she went back to the lamest party on earth.
She's dancing. And then
even these paid extras aren't chanting along with her. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, this is the NXT 2.0 and Impact segment.
And then, although I have to,
Greg says it looks like the sweet party at the Riviera. Yes.
Does that make Ed Laredo?
Yeah.
Hey, I wear red.
John, you were not at the sweet party at the Riviera. Greg is correct. It was the sweet party at the Riviera.
Yeah, it was an 8th grade dance.
It's gotten better, yes. Yeah, nothing an 8th grade dance.
Nothing but sausage. But no, that Okada can't remember the dance.
And he was breathless, and he said, "Dreams do come true." Because he.
Oh God, I couldn't if you remember the CEO dance.
Oh my
My
God, this
God,
is
I hope this
so
doesn't turn
bad.
out to be Private Party now being part of the CEO's entourage.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure this was a setup for Okada against Zay.
Okay,
That
I'm
would be
cool
my
with that.
guess.
Squash
Yeah,
him.
the squash. Yeah, probably on Rampage, because God knows they're doing good stuff with Okada. So from one champion to another, Tony Schiavone introduced Mariah May. This is on back out in front of the crowd now, and she shows up dressed in a black robe, and she's coming on to Tony. And Tony's selling of this coming on was pretty cool. It was a mixture
Yes.
of being turned on and scared.
And creeped out, yes.
Yeah. And he says, "Congratulations on your homecoming, and you're the new." And he starts to lose his place, and she grabs the mic and he says, "I'm the new AEW Women's World Champion, but I regret to inform you that the AEW Women's World Championship celebration has been postponed." Well, yeah, it's because we had another celebration backstage. It says, "I'm not doing it in this town. I know that's called Champaign. It should be renamed a flat, piss-stained warm beer. And judging by some of you desperately average-looking women in the audience, it's something you're all too familiar with shoving down your throats, amongst other things."
This
And
was my favorite promo of the night.
yeah,
I love the champagne line. It was so great.
Oh yeah. What you desperately need is some glamour. Luckily for you, that's everything that I am. In case you didn't understand, I'm going to take my robe off now and show all you lovely ladies what a real woman is supposed to look like. No, and show
Thank
you
Rick
exactly
Rude.
what
Yeah,
I
I
mean.
was thinking the same thing.
Well, Sonny used to do that line too, right?
Yes.
Look now and forget and never forget. This is your new AEW World's Women Champion, Mariah May. She took the robe off, and I think she's basically wearing lingerie. It might have been Tony Storm's old outfit. Not sure. And she posed, and then she put her robe back on real quick. She said, "That's enough," and left. It's good.
I
Good
thought this was an effective segment. It was just placed poorly right after Mercedes promo.
When you announce something like this, you expect that it's going to lead to the next feud, but I guess not.
I'm good with if she's heightening it and then the next person ends up ruining the bit. I'm cool with that too.
It'll be Serena Deeb.
Gonna give props to Mariah also for a move that's difficult but comes off effortless, and that is you'll pardon my French again here, kids, but the eye fuck.
Oh yeah.
Where you just kind of do the little thing with the eyebrow and shit, and you're like, wow, all right. There's one on a Cook Unity commercial that drives me nuts.
She is she may be the most effective heel in this company. Like like strict heel. Like
she knows how to be a heel. I mean, they're not trying to get her babyface pops or have her be funny. So yes, when you're a straight ahead heel, it's easy to be a heel. Unlike Swerve or Mox or whoever, when they're getting babyface pops at the same time, and you're kind of like, well, their motivation is kind of muddy right now.
What I'd like to have now is for all you fat hillbilly Mississippi sweat hogs. What I'd like to have now is for all you champagne piss stained beer, whatever the hell she said.
I didn't think it was piss stained. I thought it was it was like flat watered down beer.
She said piss stained was definitely stained piss was definitely in there.
Okay.
Piss warm is
piss warm. Yeah.
It was a good line.
It was a great line, especially for a college town.
Another promo last Sunday at All In. Backstage, it's after the 3-way match for the tag belts. We got a Grizzled Young Vets promo. They introduced themselves. They were broken up by the Young Bucks. Congratulated them. Says, "You don't like FTR. We don't like them. We both have Young in our names." And Gibson says, "We're not cut from the same cloth. We aren't the same as you two dweebs." This was a message for the entire tag team division. Know this. GYV are here to stay in AEW, and we're coming for those titles. And when you see GIV coming, grit your teeth. And we'll be seeing you soon, lads. And Nick calls them pricks. And then now they're backstage. And
they do the same
tonight,
promo.
basically, we showed them we aren't messing around. This Friday on Rampage, one unlucky team, and he's going on and on about this unlucky team, whoever it's going to be, as they have a graphic on the screen showing it the Outrunners.
It's the Outrunners. Yeah.
And then the other guy said something else, and it's part of their catchphrase.
Grit your teeth. Yeah, GYT.
Oh, James
GYV wants you to GYT.
Yeah.
Look, I love the grizzled young veterans. Don't get me wrong, but you
soon
need
to be recognized as Collision regulars.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
The thing is, the way that they've introduced them is not the way to introduce a team that you want to take interest in. You don't just have them show up, like they did at All In, and then with this. You have them destroy, because they're not the Road Warriors, and they're not like the Steiners. They're not that level of team where you go, oh my God, I can't believe they're here. So you need to have them do something where, okay, we've made a statement here, quote unquote, in the tag team division, something like that, with like tag team, just destroy a team, destroy FTR.
Or the other thing is,
or the Acclaim, please destroy the Acclaim.
Or you have one of these matches, like your London Chaos Ladders match, whatever they call it, and they're in it as a surprise team.
No,
and they win it,
and
then they beat the champs in a great match.
Yes.
Yeah,
the build isn't there for the grizzled young veterans. They are just another team being added here. And while they're very good, and while it's a lot to me, look, the Motor City Machine Guns do something for other people. They do nothing for me, kind of for this reason, because this is kind of how they'll get introduced. Maybe they'll be like surprise partners or something like that, and then they'll just go in. They'll have a Motor City Machine Guns.
You're a gambling man. You're a gambling man. If you had to put money on it in 6 months. Is Grizzled Young Vets tag team champions, or maybe even former tag team champions, or are they wrestling in ROH?
They might be ROH tag champs.
Yeah, but
they're fighting Top Flight on Collision.
Yes, which is basically ROH.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? Honestly, some weeks ROH is better than Collision. I should show you some of these cards. Like, it's actually a good show. It's utterly.
It's just long and a lot of good wrestling.
Yeah. But you wouldn't believe some of these cards. I'll just tell you that.
Oh no, I look at the cards every week. It's just watch.
Some of them are they're like pay-per-views almost. Anyways, this is where they showed a video package with highlights of Takeshita's G1. They mentioned that he made the playoffs. They showed him losing to Yota Tsuji. They didn't identify Yota Tsuji. The video package made him look good, and the announcers were putting him over and saying he could be the future of that company. A lot of people that follow that company, and even people that work for that company, think that when his contract ends, I believe in November, and he might actually go there. Because again, he was working there as an AEW representative.
I loved this video package. Here's where he's been. Here's what he's been doing. He's been killing these fools. And then you can see him on a 4-way on Collision.
Yes.
With Commander, Leo Rush, and Mortis.
Yes.
You know what that is? That's the couch scene in Animal House. During Rush. So, you know these guys here.
I haven't seen spoilers, but I assume Takeshita pins Commander. I think that's
I'm just like here's the other thing that's killing me right now about this company. If you think Takeshita's a big deal and you're playing the video on Dynamite, I understand. Oh, we're doing this to use the star power of Takeshita they haven't built yet to get people to watch Collision. No, you re-debut him on Dynamite. You re-debut him on your A show, and again, make luchadors worth watching again, because it's just two mask geeks and Leo Rush, who I love. I love Leo Rush. Let him talk a little bit, but they're not doing anything with him.
Was Takeshita on All In at all?
No.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. I mean, Zach was there, so it's not because of Japan.
I mean, you can tell who Tony thinks is something and who he thinks is nothing by where he puts them. And this just frustrated me. It's like Takeshita was a big deal. He's in the Don Callis family, which is still supposedly your A1 heel stable.
So they showed him, like you mentioned something. You said they showed him and beating people and everything like that. You know, he went 5-5, right?
Doesn't matter. Lie to me.
Okay, you
make him come back and be a bigger deal.
Yeah, he did look like a star.
Because you know what? It's not like New Japan's a hot product. You can lie about it.
You know that I do star ratings on all the matches, and
do you? I didn't know that, Paul.
The average star rating for Takeshita was significantly higher than anyone else in that tournament.
Because he's a good wrestler. I'm cool with that. But
great wrestler.
But see, this is also what you call hiding the flaws. Just make him look like a badass. Oh, he went over to Japan to be more badassness. Now he's gonna come over to America and be badass again. This isn't a hard business, Paul. It really isn't.
You know what they could have done is they could have had Takeshita attack Ricochet after.
You could have had you could have reintroduced him. Oh look, the killer's back from the Don Callis family. Have Callis cut a promo. I sent him over into the dark, deep dojos of Tokyo.
No, you know what you do. You have Callis send him out, and then you set up a tag match: Ricochet and Will against Takeshita and Fletcher. And you do that on like Dynamite or something. Fletcher takes another L.
No, don't have to take another L. Shut up.
And then Takeshita beats Ricochet on the pay-per-view, and then we move on with our lives.
Bring him back as the mid-card. Bring him back as Masahiro Chono from 1994. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
The black leather duster, dark sunglasses. That's all you need. Oh, yeah. And he's a badass again.
I like that. All right, next and main event time. Ricochet, he's out of this world, don't you know? And he's held 20 different championships worldwide. And Tony Schiavone lies to us and tells us that he's seen his Indies matches before AEW was formed. I don't believe that for one second.
I don't believe you.
No. So Kyle was wearing a mask for some reason. Callis was on commentary, didn't say a damn thing. They reminded us that Danielson is addressing his future in the actual main event. And I'm just scanning through all these notes that I wrote because, I mean, just close your eyes. You can picture this match. I mean, started out as a Ricochet WWE match, turned into a Kyle Fletcher match. People say he did more here. There was one spot where he did a Meteora off the barricade, and then did
the suck it.
Did the suck it. So I'm assuming that at some point Triple H told me couldn't do that. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's probably, you know what it probably is? It's probably Ricochet wants to do a whole lot of stuff in a match. Yeah. And Triple H looks at him and goes, "You're a mid-carder."
Or telling him, "Slow down. You'll get a main event at some point. You can do all your crazy shit there." Yeah. Yes. Crowd's chanting Ricochet at one point.
We'll give you Logan Paul.
Yeah, and you know what? That
was a good match. I got no problem with that.
So at one point, I think they went through a commercial break.
They went through 2 commercial breaks on this one.
Did they? Okay, yes. I only wrote down one. I thought they had 2 on 2 other matches, but
or maybe another one. Maybe there was just one, and then Kyle got the heat during this one, and then
Ricochet did a dive onto Fletcher, and the crowd didn't even react because you know what? Ricochet's dives in WWE stood out. Here, everybody does them. So
yes, if everybody dives, nobody dives, and also exactly. Kyle Fletcher is. Kyle Fletcher. They heated up for exactly a week before beating him and beating him and beating him again.
Kyle was down in the middle of the ring. Ricochet went for a splash. Kyle got his feet up. Did a running boot and a brainbuster for 2. Ricochet barely rolled out of that. Kyle hit a high knee. Went for a power bomb. Knees to the head from Fletcher. Ricochet flipped out of a pile driver. Hit a pump kick. Then he hit a Death Valley driver, but Kyle kicked out. Crowd booed that. Then he hit lifting, reversing DDT, which Excalibur called Vertigo, and he got the win. And that was that. And he was selling a lot after that. And,
yes.
And to the point
and also they assume that we know that because they were shoving early in the match, so everybody knows about their Twitter beef.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were because Kyle Fletcher made fun of him because he was the speed champion. And Ricochet should have just brought up, well, at least people watch my matches.
They announced him as making his Dynamite debut, which is a big deal, and then they come in and he does a 50-50 match. I don't understand that, Paul.
Might have been 40-60, honestly. But yeah, basically 50-50. Tony Schiavone called it a great match. I wrote down it was good. Kyle Fletcher disappeared, but then they showed him out on the floor selling. Callis said he wasn't happy. And then whose music should hit was Will Ospreay. And then I'm thinking, they're going to go right to Ospreay and Ricochet.
I groaned that they were going to go right to Ospreay and Ricochet. Then, I'm just like, why'd you re-sign him?
But we all forgot. Remember Pac? He won a title match. And sure enough, Pac shows up.
This was awesome.
Ospreay had a mic. So he's, we're all ready for a promo. And Pac just shows up and took him out with a poison
Rana on the floor.
On the stage.
Kills him.
And it looked brutal.
DED dead.
He takes the mic. Yeah, he takes the mic and he says, William, let this be a warning. Don't you dare forget about the bastard. And as for you, Ricochet, please allow me this opportunity to welcome you to AEW. Welcome and get back to the line like everyone else. This one here, he belongs to me.
Loved it.
Yeah, and Ricochet went up the ramp to check on Will, and he shouted, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" And so then, I mean, that, honestly, they could have just ended the show right there. And I'd have been much happier.
I love that segment.
Yeah, it was great, and it would have been a great ending to the show.
I agree.
But we had to go backstage, and Jon Moxley, and he's wandering around, and someone's talking to him. It sounded like it might have been Alex Marvez, but I'm not positive.
I think they just got the random camera guy to talk to him.
Yeah, random camera dude, so it's another WWE thing. And he said, "John, what's going on out there?" John says, "Thou shalt not cast pearls before swine." And you know what we could really use around here? And then all of a sudden, some woman shows up, and she beats up two random dudes backstage, and then a third one comes in, and he's like, "Ma'am, ma'am, ma'am," and she beats him up. And I wrote down, I think it might be Marina Shafir. And then Mox says that was a lesson in humility, and they walk off together. Marina looked completely different. Like she had different hair, different outfit.
Yeah, I was trying to get through the hair because I thought it almost looked like Mercedes Martinez at first. I was like, "What is going on there?" But there not enough tattoos or anything. But shorter, I mean, this is the push that everybody's been kind of quote unquote talking about. Remember, they were thinking about bringing her in the Blackpool Combat Club at one point.
So, if I'm putting the pieces together, does Moxley want to turn this company into Bloodsport?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's okay.
Which is what I'm thinking, and it's freaked out a lot of people on the old X thing because they think that might be the connection to Shane McMahon.
Oh my God! Oh,
AEW Underground, baby!
Oh my God!
Hell yeah!
Moxley will quit. Like if they put him with Shane, you kidding me? Maybe he likes him. I don't know.
I think he likes him.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I know he hates trips, so yeah, maybe.
I mean, Shane trained a bit, so.
Okay. So Moxley and Marina walk off together into
Okay, I'm fine with that. It's interesting.
And next we went to Renee to find out what she thought about this. No, we didn't, but I was wondering. But so I guess Moxley's a heel, Hangman's a heel. I don't know. Anyways, we go back to the ring, and Bryan Danielson
kind of a heel.
Out. Yeah, well, no, Pac's definitely a heel this week. And
Swerve's a heel.
Daniel's smiling, and Tony Schiavone says he's never seen a more emotionally charged match than he saw on Sunday night. Excalibur said it was one of the greatest main events in AEW history, and they plugged the replay. So hey, good job. And Tony Schiavone reminded us that Danielson said this might be his last year. And fans are chanting, you deserve it. And he says, after trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing, finally, Bryan Danielson is the AEW World Champion. He says, in front of 50,000 people at Wembley and my family, when I got to the back, my daughter said, this was the best day of my life. He says, well, granted, early in the day, she went on a double-decker tour bus and saw Piggly Wiggly or something. But I knew it before Peppa Pig, you're right. But I knew it before she even said it. Because when I got to the back, I saw my peers congratulating me, and I knew it. It was the favorite moment of my entire career. He's tearing up. Fans are chanting this, thank you, Bryan. But he says, when I got to the press conference, they asked me the question, what's next? And my contract with AEW expired on August 1st. And people booed that because they don't watch the show and they don't realize he already said this. I'm going to be needing neck surgery sooner than later. And my family is ready for me to come home. So I've had a lot of thinking to do since Sunday. When I first got to AEW, one of the first things I said was thank you to the people who started this place. If you're here, you probably agree AEW is awesome. I've loved professional wrestling my entire life. The fact that AEW even exists makes pro wrestling better, and it's made my life better. I kind of like the way he worded that, honestly, because he's saying like the whole industry's better, and he's right. So when I think of all the things that the people who started AEW did, when I got to the back and I looked at my peers and all the people who are going to wrestle in AEW in the future, I realized it's probably time for me to go home. But not yet. So this was the, what is it? Once Upon a Time in So that movie,
Wolf
where
of
he
Wall
says,
Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not going fucking anywhere. I'm surprised he didn't use that line. I will not retire as AEW champion. I'm going to fight for this championship as much as I possibly can. So don't get this twisted. As soon as I lose this, my full-time career is over. But that's not going to be happening anytime soon. So in 2 weeks at All Out Chicago, we have a young, hungry locker room, and I have an AEW World Championship to defend. Anyone who wants a shot, come and get it. First come, first serve. Bryan Danielson is here to become the greatest AEW World Champion of all time. So I was expecting Christian based on the thing. Maybe Moxley.
I kind of was too.
Or yeah, maybe Moxley. Instead, we got a video.
But it was an open challenge, and they just happened to have a pre-tape ready for it.
They sure did. By Tony Khan, yeah, Jack Perry's good buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Bucks played it because they had more authority this week. He's interrupted by Jack Perry video. Perry says, "You don't know your future, but I know mine. No one wanted me back here. No one believed in me. You didn't. I created my own future. The future I knew I could have. I started the day I came back here. I punched Tony Khan. I took out Kenny Omega, won the TNT title, and I buried Darby Allin at Wembley Stadium. Honestly, it's a pretty good resume. Let's not forget, the only time you and I stood across from each other in the ring, I beat you after I was set on fire, because he did get the win over Danielson at Double or Nothing.
Yes.
I'm going to do it again. My future is to retire the AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson. My future and the AEW future are one and the same. Your future is what's behind you." And, of course, he gets attacked by Jack Perry in the ring, hit Danielson with a running knee to the head, picked up both belts and posed and left. And that's it. That's your all-out main event. Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson.
That sound, it dropped the last line, which was perfect. Your future is behind you. And
yes.
then, oh, God, it was such a great line. And the audio kind of buried it to the thing. I don't mind this because he is the TNT champion, and it was always one of those big deals when the Intercontinental champion would go after the world title, or the U.S. champion would go after the world champion. It makes sense. I just don't feel Perry's a strong enough character to pull this off necessarily.
No,
and my fear. Here's my fear. Because Danielson has a bit of trickster in him. He has a bit of, you remember that Cody Rhodes taught me how good it was to lie to people, how much fun it was. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to defend this championship for a long time. Christian cashes in, pins Jungle Boy, and takes the title. And Danielson's standing there going, "Wait, I'm retired now?
Yeah.
Wait, no? Huh?" It's the dumbest thing, but I can also see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, we do have
because then Christian gets his revenge for being buried.
Yeah,
by Jack Perry, and he screws Danielson, and he's the biggest heel in the company.
No, he's a babyface
for screwing Jack Perry.
Yes.
And then he kills Tony Khan's father.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, we do have that pay-per-view coming up in Seattle, so I assume.
Yeah, I know that's a general.
Unless he loses the title at All Out, and then he says, "Well, I'll have one more retirement match in Seattle, and then I'm done."
Yeah, but it won't be for the title. That'll be a McGuinness match or something.
Transferring Heat points out this program would work if the Elite storyline actually worked. Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, they could have just had the
Bucks come out when he said the open challenge. Goes, "Nope, nobody's coming out of that building. We have a challenger for you. Yeah. Here he is, and it's Jack Perry. Oh, well, it's the Elite VPs looking out for one another. Tony gets all mad, etc., etc."
I should point out the crowd hated this. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah, because they wanted to see a big deal for Chicago, because that's the travel town, and they want to be close, and nobody's going to be traveling to.
Well, because they're in Illinois. I don't know how far.
Yes, no, that's what I meant.
Chicago. Oh, yeah.
It's like, man, if they give us a big match, maybe we'll buy tickets to All Out. Nope.
Yeah.
You get Jack Perry and you'll like it. And I can see why Bryan Danielson is doing this, because it's like, hey, I want to make the kid look good.
You are getting Ospreay, Pac. You're also getting Danielson, or you're also getting Swerve and Hangman. So
okay.
And maybe Harley Saraya and Hayter. Oh, Jonathan points out, thank you. It's Tacoma, not Seattle. It is different. I mean, yeah, because Tacoma is actually Swerve's hometown. So the show really should be built around Swerve. And John points out it's 2 hours from Champaign to Chicago. So 2.5 hours. Okay. Transferring Heat points out. So I know someone that bought tickets earlier today to go to All In. Or All Out,
you mean?
All Out. Mainly because he wants to see Yankees and Cubs at Wrigley, and they're playing that weekend. So, but then you can also see wrestling.
Wrigley's fun.
When he heard about this main event, he wishes he hadn't bought tickets to it. So, the other matches will be good. I
think this buy rate's going to be low. I don't think it's going to be. This is not a $60 show.
Did you see the All In was down, I think 30% from last year, at least?
Doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
So was the crowd.
True.
Went from 80,000 to 50,000. I mean, that's...
Yeah. Danielson's new gimmick should be old wrestler that refuses to or threatens to retire during and after every feud match. Well, I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Terry Funk?
Yeah. CM Punk. I mean, this is basically Summer of Punk is what they're doing, right? I mean, another variation on it.
No, they're kind of doing. They're doing that. It's kind of the Flair.
The Ric Flair, yeah.
My next, as soon as I lose this title, I'm retiring, type of a thing.
Yeah, maybe he has it for like 3 years.
2 weeks. Funny. 2 weeks tops.
2 weeks. Yeah, no, I think he has it till the end of the year. Maybe, I don't know.
I think he loses it in Washington.
I mean, honestly, if he could book it, that's probably what he'd want to do. Would be my
guess. Wrestle Dreams in Tacoma.
Wrestle Dreams in Tacoma, yeah. So, and that could be, who would it be?
Swerve, rematch clause.
Swerve, yeah. Moxley.
Should be if Nigel's getting a match on this tour, it should be Nigel.
You know who? Here's one. And
Zack Sabre Jr. again.
Danielson would be all about this. What if Garcia beats MJF at All Out and it's Garcia and he retires Danielson?
Yeah, maybe part of this is I want to fight pillars and people who are pillar adjacent. I'm just saying because he already has Darby. He's going to be doing Perry.
Yeah.
Garcia wouldn't be a bad one either. I mean, he just wants, I want to give the kids a 5-star match on their resume.
Is she a pillar? She might be a pillar of Titan pretty soon.
She might be a pill.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's the show. So next week we're gonna have another go home show already.
Yes.
For All Out. And maybe by then I'll have watched All In. Because it's a busy week too. WWE's got 2 shows. Capital Collision, which I feel like I might not get to. And TNA has a show, and they just announced that they sold out Emergence. The NXT thing is actually helping TNA a lot. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. So, Jeff, get your plugs in.
Crap Game 13 on Elon Musk's lovely X app. I also do a show on Voices Wrestling called Shake Them Ropes. This week, ice cold takes on All In from myself and Chris Novembrino, and previews of both Berlin, whatever it's called, Battle at Berlin,
or
Bash and NXT No Mercy. So the Lazy River is going to be busy, and then the for Vader Club, we'll probably be talking a lot about Sid, but I also picked Orient Express versus the Rockers from Royal Rumble 1991 because I wanted to talk about Bad Company, but there might be a lot of Sid talk on this show too.
My favorite Sid match is probably the one he had with Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series.
See, I'm all about pre-WWF Sid.
Okay.
I like, Horseman Sid, Skyscraper Sid. That's my wheelhouse, and there aren't a lot of great matches in there. I mean, his best matches are probably in 1993. But, there was a rumored Rick Rude program that I thought would have been spectacular.
Ooh.
But
he was doing the Real World Champion gimmick?
Yeah, it was okay. I'm going to have to take a look at those things because he doesn't have a lot of great matches in there. Like the 91 War Games or the 90 War Games, the one where he power bombs the hell out of Pillman?
Yeah. So that Survivor Series match, I was in the hospital that weekend. I had my blood level was really low, so I had to get transfusion or blood product actually. And so I'm doing that, and I'm in the hospital, and it's like Saturday, and then it's Sunday, and I'm feeling better. A doctor and nurse hasn't come and checked on me all day, so I said screw it. I took off my stuff, and I left the hospital room. I get outside, and there's a freaking blizzard. It's Winnipeg, and so I ended up taking a bus and then a cab to get to my buddy's place just in time to watch the Survivor Series. That's how badly I needed to see this match. Sid and Shawn Michaels.
Sid was an attraction. And you know, you don't, I mean, in a world of work rate, which we're going to talk about a lot too, because VOW put out an article today behind the paywall that he's the best bad wrestler ever. And I'm not going to go that far, but I mean, he wasn't a great wrestler either.
I wouldn't walk across the street to see most shows these days. And I went across the city with tearing IVs out of my hand because I had to see the Survivor Series.
People like 90s. Big dudes who can destroy you.
Yeah. That was a 96, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, and for me, I got no plugs really other than this show. So tune back in next week around this time. And other than that, you can come into the Discord, send GG at fightgamemedia.com. You can get in there, or you can follow me on X at Paul Ace Fontaine on Elon Musk's X machine. So for Jeff, I've been Paul, and this has been the Dynamite Show.